Richard Karn followed an unusual road when home improvement came to an end. The man that consistently performed for Al Borland started hosting game shows, then he turned up in an explosive R-rated comedy. Later he assessed a soap opera trial. He was on Pen 15 as a parent in a musical about uncomfortable teenagers by 2019. Karn shocked followers once more just when they thought they knew him. His route following home renovation was not at all typical. February 17, 1956 saw Richard Karn born in Seattle. Before turning into a contractor, Gene, his dad, had been a Navy CB in World War II. Louise, his mother, was a painter. They raised Richard and his sister Sue in a house surrounded by tools, artwork, and Husky football. Richard was transformed in ways nobody could have predicted by that combination of practical knowledge and imagination. Years later, it would all make sense, particularly once he started working as Al Borland, the affable handyman for home improvement. Richard developed an early passion for performing in 5th grade. Something clicked as he walked on stage for the first time. He kept playing football in addition to acting all through the 1960s. He started widening receiver in high school. At Harmony Theater and Sports, carried him until the early 1970s. At Roosevelt High, his skill became more noticeable. His theatrical teachers observed immediately away his rich, gravelly voice and presence. He appeared in school productions and even performed Henry Higgins from My Fair Lady. Football was entertaining, but acting felt like a calling. Later on, he quipped that college-level athletics were a few steps over my pay scale. He enrolled at University of Washington following high school. He had an opportunity to spend 6 months in Scotland during his first year. It wasn't a vacation, it was labor. Training at the Edinburgh Festival, the largest arts event in Europe, along with learning fresh techniques, he worked with students from all around the globe and took in everything from experimental theater to Shakespeare. He turned his sights higher when he returned. He registered for the professional acting training program at the university the following year. 200 applications came forward. Just 12 entered. He cut. That was serious from then on. During his university he participated in more than 15 plays, belonged to the Beta Theta Pi fraternity, maintained a 3.4 GPA. He returned to Henry Higgins and perfected both traditional and contemporary parts. He was not only dreaming about acting by the time he graduated in 1979. He was poised to experience it. He settled in New York City right after graduation. Within 1 week he landed a Michelob beer commercial running during the Super Bowl. That advertisement paid him $45,000. It went beyond just financial value. It exposed him on the most viewed TV event. Most performers never experience that type of luck. For Richard, however, it was evidence he was headed in the right direction. Then arrived a minor but odd dilemma. The Screen Actors Guild informed him the name Richard Wilson was already taken when he tried to join. He had to select a fresh professional name. He so chose Karn, his middle name. Richard Karn was born anew, on paper this time, and it stayed that way. Nobody else outside his family would ever name him Wilson once more. Success wasn't simple even with the Super Bowl commercial and a new identity. Richard traveled around the nation working in theaters between 1980 and 1989. He starred in at least 25 plays. He occasionally received payment, sometimes not very lot. He wore a genuine suit of armor in Me and My Girl on Broadway. He had more fortune off Broadway, obtaining larger parts and gaining reputation in the theater community. The love affair of Richard Karn and Tootie Rosh began not with red carpets or celebrity. It began softly in 1985. 6 years before the Globe ever came to know Al Borland from Home Improvement, Tootie was not merely his wife, she followed her own route as an actor and singer. July 19, 1955 saw her birth in San Angelo, Texas, and her concept in 1989 revolutionized everything. Richard should go to Los Angeles, she advised him. She thought he has the necessary skills. He trusted her. They risked it and packed their luggage. Beginning wasn't simple. They had no assurances, no money, no work. Richard grabbed whatever work he could come upon. He ran an apartment building only to have somewhere to live. He also paid the bills by catering events at a nearby synagogue. At the University of Washington, he had studied acting. He has been on stage in Scotland during the Edinburgh Festival. And yet here he was, trying for a break and juggling strange tasks. He had been lucky once in New York getting a Michelob beer commercial during his first week. It ran during Super Bowl 14, but that was long past. They still were suffering by 1990. Then arrived the event none could have predicted. Richard ran a stop sign in Los Angeles in 1991. Pulled over by a traffic cop, he received a ticket. His penalty was attendance in traffic school. Angry, he slumped down in class. Right next to him, though, was a Hollywood agent. They launched a conversation. The agency brought up a fresh TV show. It would include Tim Allen, a stand-up comedy. Home Improvement was the show name. Richard should check out an audition, the agent advised. That traffic infraction turned around the tide. Richard went to audition. He thought little would result from it. Al Borland's job had already been defined. The original selection was Stephen Tobolowsky. Tobolowsky, however, was committed to other things. He missed the pilot's shooting call. There was a backup required by the makers. Richard arrived at the call. He filled in just one episode, but on set something went wrong. He had too great a chemistry with Tim Allen to overlook. The people observed. The network became aware of it. And once ABC acquired the program, they chose to retain Richard rather than bring Stephen back. Richard turned into Al Borland exactly like that. Originally, he was only intended to complete 6 episodes. That was the intention. Still, supporters loved him. Tim Allen's anarchy was exactly matched by his cool, dependable demeanor. Richard turned the part his own. He gave every scene with friendliness and subdued genius. Later on, Tim Allen claimed Richard was among the smartest and funniest men he had ever worked with. The producers agreed. They declared him a permanent cast member and tore apart the temporary schedule. Richard Karn refused to strive to be what casting directors had in mind. Rather, he made the position genuine, something closer to himself. He provided Al a solid, composed presence that counterbalanced Tim Allen's anarchy. It was not magic right first. Al was still discovering his voice in the early episodes, but Karn kept gently developing the character. By episode 12, Al's weary sigh, usually directed at Tim's most recent catastrophe, had grown somewhat popular. The authors even began including instances expressly so Karn could do it. It was much adored by fans. Letters from people claiming they identified with Al flooded in by the middle of 1992. Even when people taunted him about his beard, weight, or mother, he was polite, clever, and always in control. Next came the flannel. TV history now included Al's plaid clothes. The viewers recalled the shirts rather than merely seeing them. They were unaware, though, that Karn selected more than 75 distinct flannel designs over time. In order to avoid repeating one too much, he even maintained a personal catalog. The dressing crew battled to keep up. Season 3 saw collaborations with 3 manufacturers creating special flannel just for Al, and Al's plaids, sold out at JC, sold out at Christmas 1994. Penny here, the shirts comprised more than just cloth, they became a symbol. Karn ordered they be fashioned of actual thick cotton, even if it meant sweating beneath scorching lights. He stayed faithful to his values. He maintained the beard precisely shaped for this same reason as well. Every morning, it took 20 minutes, but it helped demonstrate Al's kind of attention to detail for the small things. Off-screen, Karn was not leading a glitzy Hollywood life. He was fixing toilets in real life, while millions watched him do things on Tool Time. From September 1991 until May 1992, Karn oversaw a 32-unit apartment project in Los Angeles during the first season. He would get up at 6 a.m., then by 9, go to the studio to handle maintenance needs. Some renters were not even aware their building manager was starting to shine on TV. He left set for lunch to take care of a plumbing problem and returned, dressed. The narrative so greatly delighted the writers that they decided to create an episode. Karn would juggle scripts and rental forms in his dressing area, even during filming. Al Borland benefited from that real-life experience. Karn knew what a true repairman looked like. His gestures, his tools, his method of explanation. All of it came from personally doing it. And something far larger was altering his environment as all this was happening. Upborn was his son Cooper Karn Wilson. Richard and his wife Tootie Roach had been wed since 1985, but being a parent was fresh. Cooper entered their life just when home renovation became rather trendy. Karn arrived for work worn out. Diapers, late-night meals, and early call times don't go very nicely together. The authors saw and started writing Al with more tenderness, more subdued tiredness, like a man who understood what it meant to look after someone little. In his dressing area, Karn had a photo album constantly updated with images of Cooper. The infant paid a visit to the set 17 times during season 2. Tim Allen even made a joke about Tool Time recruiting him as a junior assistant. Richard was active too outside the studio. He founded the Richard Karn Star Days, a celebrity golf event in Seattle, in 1993. It was once only a modest one-day event featuring 12 stars. But by 1996, it had evolved into a three-day celebration: golf signatures, auction bids, and dinners. It continued until 1999 and brought in around $4.2 million for kids' hospitals. About 30 to 40 celebrities turned out every year. A few came from home improvement. Others were athletes. They were celebrities. It went beyond just financial considerations. It was about doing something actual for actual people. It worked as well. Richard spent much time with Pamela Anderson once back on set. She portrayed the first Tool girl, Lisa. She started the show just 23 years old, and Richard, the kind of man he was, helped her get settled in. They practiced among each other. He corrected her in timing. On television, her vivid vitality matched his cautious and deliberate approach exactly. She stayed till 1993, then started Baywatch. Her presence on the program, however, shaped those first seasons, and Richard participated actively in that as well. Al Borland changed over 8 seasons. Now he was not only the plaid guy. He had a past, a mother who drove him insane, embarrassing dates, poor love luck. Al's shows by 1996 attracted 2 to 3% more viewers than those of the others. He was much appreciated by fans. Between seasons 1 and 5, his fan letters indeed tripled. The writers thus gave him more. By season 8, Al co-owned Harry's Hardware with Tim. Now he was a partner, not merely a sidekick. And Al stood next to Tim for their last Tool Time episode, as the program ran through 1999. Richard published a book that same year. It was titled House Broken, and I Remodeled My House for just under 3 times the original bid. It surfaced in April, right as house renovation was drawing to an end. There was nothing greater than the time. Right out the door, the book sold 75,000 copies. For a brief period, it also made the New York Times bestseller list. Inside, Richard told tales about renovating his own house, ones that sounded almost exactly like program episodes. There were 32 pictures, some chapters concentrated on dealing with contractors. The writing had his similar dry wit, much as the ones he and Tim hired for the program. He did not try to project intelligence above his own. He simply related it as it happened. Karn began playing minor parts after the show ended. He surfaced in films, including MVP, Most Vertical Primate, in 2001 and Legend of the Mummy in 1998. He guest starred in shows like That 70s Show and The Chronicle as well. It was not horrible work, but it was not consistent either. Back in 1989, Karn had relocated to Los Angeles after his wife Tootie encouraged him. By 2002, though, Hollywood looked unsure about what to do with him once more. Then something happened out of the blue. On Family Feud, a place became open. The producers wanted a fresh host. Louis Anderson was absent. They assigned Richard Karn the work. He was not a comic like the hosts of past times. Though he lacked flair, his warmth, kindness, and simplicity of appeal were evident. That concerned me. After Richard Dawson, Ray Combs, and Louis Anderson, he became just the 4th host in the annals of the show. His rendition of the show felt distinct. Though he did not always land the punchlines and critics observed, he made families feel at ease. Viewers looked on him with faith. About 4 million viewers watched daily throughout his stay on the program. He sustained Family Feud amid a difficult change. Karn did something quite surprising that same year. He cropped up in a music video for indie rock band, The Strokes, on August 5, 2002. Someday was the name of the song. The Strokes participated in Family Feud in the video against another band under direction of Voices. Karn saw himself as the host. It wild. The film even had Guns N' Roses rock stars Slash, Duff McKagan, and Matt Sorum. It turned out that this odd mix of rock music and daytime TV worked. It turned into a hit, eventually. It peaked at number 27 in the UK and at number 17 on the United States Modern Rock chart. Pitchfork later placed it 53 on its list of the 200 finest songs of the 2000s. After 4 solid years, Karn resigned as Family Feud host in 2006. John O'Hurley took the role. He added a sleeker, more classic game show attitude. O'Hurley's appearance and voice, according to some detractors, sounded like he was created in a factory solely for television appearances. Though his time was out, Karn did not vanish. October 6, 2008 saw Richard Karn's hosting career veer sharply. That's when he intervened to take Patrick Duffy's place hosting Bingo America. Entering its second season, the program ran on Game Show Network. Duffy's manner had been described as flat. Some even claimed that the bingosphere seemed to be powered from all his energy had been depleted from. GSN tried to be courteous, noting Duffy was excellent. Clearly though, Karn brought the vitality they were seeking. He arrived in loud, energetic and incredibly charming. Diane Mazzotta, a new co-host, followed him. 2 was the bonus round, given a complete revamp. It seemed for a bit that everything was in order. But in 2009, the show was abruptly discontinued, following 105 episodes. The fact that they had already conducted third-season auditions added oddity. Scripts were under development, but suddenly started to veer differently. David Goldhill, the president of GSN, changed some significant things. Especially among lovers of game shows, his choices were unpopular. That mental shift ruined the show permanently. Then arrived what nobody had predicted. Richard Karn emerged in a film called Pool Boy in 2011, drowning out the anger. It was the whole reverse of all he had ever done. Not a family-friendly appeal, not safe laughs, with a rod rating. This was crazy, unusual comedy. Karn portrayed Bill Witherspoon in a film parodies of war films and movie-making itself. The storyline was ridiculous. From combat, a man comes back to clean California pools. Everything about it was a satire. Kevin Sorbo found himself in it. Danny Trejo, too, even a fictitious Hitler. On July 22, 2011, the film went directly to DVD. But for being so overblown, it developed a cult following. For Karn it was like saying, "I'm not merely the TV safe guy." He leaned into the joke, in on its target. 2 years later, in January 2013, Karn re-met Tim Allen. Home Improvement had virtually stopped about 14 years ago. Now they were back together, on Last Man Standing this time. Karn was an architect by name, Bill McKendry. Allen portrayed Mike Baxter. The timing was not haphazard either. It came on during Sweep Sweep. The viewers were overcome in nostalgia. On target it became emotional. They had grown, not only aged. By then Karn had even sponsored Family Feud for 4 years. The authors handed their readers modest victories. Karn's character corrected Allen in middle sentence one moment. That alone made one remember Al Borland and Tim Taylor. The show was much enjoyed by the viewers. Then arrived a more subdued change. Richard Karn started to feature regularly in Hallmark Christmas films between 2014 and 2015. He portrayed businessman Mason Richards in Christmasland 2015, seeking to purchase a magical tree farm. Classic Hallmark, snow, family, romance, and plenty of lights made up the film. Karn was at home, right on. He accompanied Nikki DeLoach in Opposite Parts by Luke McFarlane and Maureen McCormick. Most of the movie was shot at Pioneer Village in Utah, and that went rather well. Over 80 million people visit Hallmark over the holidays. Karn grew up following that custom. In 2014 he also starred in A Perfect Christmas List, and he came back for Check-In to Christmas in 2019. He performed characters called Tim both times. Richard Karn shocking everyone in May 2017 by entering the realm of soap operas. He landed on The Bold and the Beautiful as Judge John Opplinger. Though only for 2 episodes, the buzz was strong. Fans of the show, and those of Home Renovation, were astounded. He portrayed the judge in a case involving Sally Spector's purported theft of fashion designs. It sounded dramatic, and indeed was. Karn did more than only show up reading lines. He ready. To get the part perfect, he spent 3 days closely observing a Los Angeles real judge. He stated the crime might land 15 years.